Well, I appreciate it. I'm not good at this. I don't do any interviews, and I get real emotional. So, you know, um, but I want you guys to know what buck knife means to me and a lot of other families. You know, me and Chris, we don't come from rural place like this. You know, we come from the city um, by Pasadena in California. But even us and the kids that we grew up with, you know, buck knife, that was it. And we grew up in a time in the 70s where, you know, middle class, they weren't like they were today. I mean, we were frugal. We counted pennies. We ate at home. We never ate out. We packed our lunches. But there was always two or three items in the house that your parents would spend money on. That was a sewing machine and your dad's tools. You know, and your dad's tools might have been passed down from grandpa or whoever, but if you hit it with the mallet, you knew it wouldn't break. And you knew that machine, that sewing machine, that Singer sewing machine was gonna work. But cutlery, knives, buck knife. You know, that was a knife that you depended on. You depended on your life to that. You know, your dad would say, "Here, take this knife. This is what I want you to take to the mountains." It's because he knew that that knife would perform. So for us, buck knives was the epitome of what quality and craftsmanship in America was. And it didn't matter if you were felling a tree and you had to pull something out of the tree, or if you had a splinter in your hand, that thing was sharp and would, you know, open your skin to pull it out. So when my son deployed or was about to deploy, our neighbor had bought him a K-bar, and Kareem gave it away. He was like, "Yeah, this knife sucks. You know, I don't want this thing." Well, what are you talking about? It's a K-bar. Supposedly, all the military. Nah, that knife. It's a joke. Well, I'm literally maybe 1 or 2 days after that, I saw an ad where it had the Buck 110 automatic. And that's a prerequisite I felt my kid needed, because he needed to pull the knife out with one hand and be able to deploy it. Yet he didn't want some big bulky thing. He already has 50, 60 pounds on him. He doesn't want a pry bar. So I was like, wow, I mean, that's exactly the knife that I want my kid to go to combat with. I want my son to deploy with a buck knife. I mean, I don't feel like any other knife would do. Like, I would trust my kid's life with this knife. So because he was in the military in California, we couldn't get it. I used his name to have him shipped to our house, and I bought 3 of them. I actually bought 4. I bought one of the G10 scale ones for Chris, and I bought 3 other ones. I bought one for Kareem, and I bought one for my other son, Steven Jr. And I said, "All right, Steven, when you deploy, I'll give this to you too. This is yours." But I bought another one because, knowing Kareem, I was like, "You might lose this, you might pawn it, I don't know." And I think when you come back from deployment and you realize that you gave away or you lost your dad's knife, you'll feel bad. I love you. I don't want you to feel bad. I bought another one. So when you lose this or something happens to it, I have one for you. And he deployed. He loved that knife. I remember seeing the pictures he would send home. Um, I'd see it on him. And one day, like maybe 3 days before he passed away, he was in his barracks and he was laying down, and we were on FaceTime. And I said, "Hey, are you wearing the knife?" You know, and he's like, and he goes like that. It's there, you know, on the side. And then he passed away on the 26th. And that night, you know, the 3 Marines, they came to tell me about his, you know, his passing. And I really wanted to get him out because I didn't want my family to come home and see them. But I told the CACO, which stands for Casualty Assisted Coordinating Officer. So he's the liaison between the Marines and me. And I told him, you know, I gave my son a knife and I want that knife back. I didn't say I wanted his phone. I don't want his wallet. I want that knife. He's like, "I'm going to get that knife for you." All right. So on September 17th, we had the dignified transfer that came from Ontario Airport to where he was buried, which is like 2 miles from my house. And when we get to the cemetery, the Keiko pulls me aside and he has that sheath, that buck knife sheath. And I know exactly what it is. He pulls it out of a bag and I'm ecstatic. You know, I'm so happy because I felt like if I got that knife back, it would alleviate some of my pain, my sorrow. That somehow that this knife would make everything all right, you know. You know, when I was a kid and I had my dad's Buck 110, I would just open it. I loved the way that it clicked. I loved the way it felt. The handles, the brass bolsters for hours. Just, I mean, probably broke it, opening it so much just to hear and the lock back and everything. So I just felt like, hey, somehow I'd feel better. Somehow I'd have my son back. Well, when I got it, first thing I noticed is that there was a hole in the sheet. And I told the Keiko, there's a hole from the BB, from the blast, from the bomber. And now I want to take it out. I want to see. It's hard to pull it out. I can't pull it out of the sheath, you know. And I'm really trying hard. And then finally it comes out. And as soon as it comes out, he tells me this is a hardened combat veteran. No, that's not a BB, that's a bullet. And the bullet hole was right in the mechanism of that switchblade. Like that blade, front bolster, I mean, like dead center. Like there was no way you could have repaired this and anything. And like from August 26th till September 17th, I'd put so much value into that knife, you know. Not that your knife isn't the value, but I put the value of that knife higher than our Lord, you know. Like I needed that knife to make me right, when I just needed my Lord and Savior to make me right. So the Lord gave me what I wanted, but it was destroyed. It was worthless, you know. And I understood, you know, that it wasn't the knife, you know. It's our faith in Jesus Christ. And you know, my son died on August 26th, 2021. And you know, like I was telling him, when your parents or someone you love dies, you know, they die on a Tuesday, next Tuesday you bury them. It's a 1 week of grief, and then you move on, so to speak. You start healing. Well, it was months. It was a month before his body came back, and then there were other events that you had to do. We had a memorial service at Camp Pendleton. I had an honor at the Harvest Festival, and the problem with those things is you never really get a time to grieve. You're always focused on that next event. All right, you know, 3 weeks from now there's this event, and I'm just going to repress my feelings. I'm going to repress all my grief, and I'm going to handle that, and then I'll deal with it. And then something else comes up, and then all of a sudden it's been a few months, right? Well, the last thing they had was that Camp Pendleton memorial service, and there was nothing else. And I think that was on a Friday. And so Sunday after church, I live in these hills, and I'm sitting in my master bedroom, and I have these windows that look at these mountains that he used to put weights in his rucksack and climb and train. And I felt enormous grief, you know, like finally, you know, I mean, I'm preaching this whole time about my faith. I'm being bold in my faith. I'm trusting in the Lord on the outside to everyone else, but on this day, there was nothing else to push or repress any feelings towards. There was nothing weeks from now to go to. Everything was done, and it all just kind of hit me like a bricks. And I felt grief, and I felt like the fact that I had grief was demonstrating I don't have faith. I felt guilty. Like, you know, why am I feeling like this? And the Lord told me, hey, Google what days they've had at Harvest Festival. And we've only gone to harvest festivals because after we gave our lives, every year after that, we went again, just for the music and the camaraderie with the Christians. You know, it's in Anaheim, Stephen. A lot of people come, but we only gone on Fridays. So I looked in 2016, and the date that we went was August 26, 2016. And that's 5 years to the day when he died. So my son gives his life on August 26, 2016, and then he loses it on August 26, 2021. And nobody knew about it. I never talked about it before. It wasn't revealed to me because the Lord did that just for me. You know, he let me know that even though even though this happened, he had planned it way before. Because where would I have been if Kareem didn't have salvation? Where would I have been if Kareem didn't give his life to Jesus, right? I mean, I couldn't bring him back. It says in the Bible, you know, I can't do for you what you haven't done if you haven't, you know, committed yourself. So I just started crying. I just felt such, you know, such a blessing, you know, that the Lord revealed that to me and let me know that, you know, you can have peace now because you know that you did everything that you possibly could have done, and that I had planned this way before that any of this happened, and that, you know, it's going to be all right. And that was the biggest thing, that whole transition. Now I know you guys are standing. I don't want to stay a long time, but I want to get into how this fine man got in touch with me. You know, I'd watched, real quick, I'd watched the State of the Union, his first State of the Union. Some reporter asked me to comment on it. So at my lunch, I watched it. I didn't want to watch it. And then that reporter, after I watched it, I was devastated because he didn't say my kid's name, but he invoked, you know, his son's name and said the existential threat to our service members was the burning of diesel fuel. And I wanted to get and tell that reporter, you know, what happened. But the reporter was, oh, well, we have another parrot. We're just going to use him. Forget it. You know, we don't want you. And I just felt like I lost my opportunity to vent. And, you know, because typically in a situation like this, your president would honor the sacrifice of those in his State of the Union. That's where you would address it. I mean, if you don't address it in any other place, at least in the State of the Union, and he didn't do that. He talked about the lost service members. He didn't even say how many, but he didn't say their names. And for me, growing up in the time that we did, you know, or us, you know, in the 70s, you know, we hold high regard to our government and our president. You understand what I'm saying? So I would have expected him to have done that, but he didn't. And so when I got the opportunity to go to the State of the Union, you know, I'm going to say his name. You know, I'm going to say his name so he can hear it. You know, I'm going to say it so that it's recorded in history. And I did. And from that, I was able to do an interview with Tucker Carlson. And you saw that. And then he reached out to me. And you know, that's how this all happened. And replaced the knife that you said that you wanted to replace that knife. And I told you, well, you know, I wanted to bring the Buck 110 here, but I couldn't bring it because of the flights. You know, I didn't know if they would take it, or I just had a feeling something would happen to it. And so I asked CJ if there was something he can do with it. And he said, yeah, I'll take that. You know, I'll take that knife. And so I'm going to send it to you guys. And he said that maybe you'll put it in the museum, you know, in a picture that Donald Trump had signed, who I've met several times. And he had signed a picture of Kareem. So, you know, I'm just real thankful to you guys, you know, bringing us out here, and to your love and support. And that's it, you know.
So I showed this to Steve earlier because I knew it would be a bit emotional. But We talked about it last time. 119 with Marine Corps colors.
Yeah, and their blood stripe.
Marines insignia on the face of it. The Marine Corps logo. And it was an honor to put it.
I appreciate you. It's an honor to be here, man. I love you. Thank you, sir. Another thing, before I bought Kareem that buck 110, I had bought him a 119, like 2017, and he used to skin rabbits with it and squirrels and stuff. It was all bloodied, and he didn't know that. So when I came here today and he's like, I got the 119, I was like, wow, there's another blessing from the Lord. Like, how would you know that? And I remember Kareem always said, hey, Dad, you want me to show you? And I don't want to see how to do it. I don't want to do it. The knife was all bloody. It was all nasty. Dad, you want to eat rabbit? No, I don't want to eat rabbit. You want to eat squirrel? No, I don't want to eat squirrel. And this means a lot because I have a loft that he would play his video games and all this stuff from all the adventures that have gone on in the last year. I have it up there, and I'm gonna put this there, and this means a lot to me. And I just wanted to reiterate that your company, this company, man, it's ingrained in all of America. I mean, it's seriously. I mean, there's heirlooms that are passed down. The quality of these knives, they mean so much to so many families in this country. And walking in your shop today and seeing what you guys do, I'm very proud of you all and what you do there, and the craftsmanship. I'm a carpenter, so I understand craftsmanship, and I appreciate this. Thank you. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
That's it. So
See you later.